how well educated are we, or as a nation or a society, about anxiety in general?
I mean, I can speak from my experience in that people know what fight or flight is, and they know that they've gone into hyperarousal. They've gotten, they're shooting off through the top end of their kind of reactivity and are not able to cope. But what they don't get is how to bring it back down, or how to reconnect themselves to their body in a way that serves them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bit that I'm educating. So they seem to understand the fight or flight bit, but the how to resettle and re-regulate themselves is the bit that they don't understand. And also there's some of the detail around how we what we're feeling inside isn't necessarily a reflection of what's actually happening on the outside. And that's where people get this entangled, right? So they think that people are looking at them funny, or then, they're about to be sacked or what have you, because they're feeling anxious. And they assess out the outside world based on how they're feeling, and actually disconnecting these two and, giving them language that shows them or explains how these two things are quite separate. And we have two different ways in our nervous system that allows us to experience these two things as quite distinct, really helps and supports them to then break it down and then go, okay, so what can I do to bring at least myself back into a state where I can absorb the outside world in a way that serves me.
A fact that someone shared on this big embodiment conference I was a part of last year, they said that most large animals spend most of their time resting, except humans. And I think that's so interesting. So this sympathetic nervous system state, this active, alert, doing state of consciousness, this problem-solving state of consciousness, we're so attached to in our culture. If you think about how much energy we spend in that state of doingness, that state of high achievement, goal-oriented thinking, product-oriented thinking, so much of our culture is geared towards that. And the sympathetic nervous system biologically is designed for short bursts of intense activity. It's not designed for sustained periods of time. When it's not built, like that's in evolutionary biology, that's not how we're built. But we're expecting that of it. And the more we expect that of it, ultimately it just gets all dried up. If you think about a panther or a leopard going after prey, that kind of burst with that forceful energy. And then after that, they rest and they eat. They rest, digest, restore. And the rest, digest, restore thing, like Allegra was saying, is definitely a part of the biological equation that we're just learning how to remember.
Yeah.
As a species. I feel like it's been out of balance for a long time.
Yeah. I think species is a better, I said as a society before, but almost as a species.
Yeah, it's a species problem,
better.
really.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting to me is that these are natural biological functions that that in a healthy animal kick in. They naturally kick in. We sort of have denatured ourselves out of that capacity to take ourselves back to rest. And I believe, or what I have experience with my clients, and I also like to practice for myself, having been, and this is another personal anecdote, having been in a state of overextension, being overextended and under-resourced. I kind of know that in my being. So I've had to learn how to practice not that, so that I can be sustainable as a person in my life and in my relationships.